Hello, and welcome back to A Haunting Podcast. I'm your host, Tegan, and I'm here with Jordan, and my brother, Kyle, is back again. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing fine myself. How are you, man?
I mean, I can't complain other than have to sit here with you guys, but...
Oh, come on. We're the best. We're just a little spooky.
Just a bit.
You know, it's how we live our lives. So, Kyle, one reason I actually invited you back today is because I thought we'd talk about a place where you used to live. Do you remember Arizona, Kyle?
I do remember Arizona. I remember it quite fondly and unfondly sometimes, but it was a great state to live in. And
I'd have to disagree with you just a little bit.
I
I've
mean,
been to Arizona.
It's not my fault you can't deal with the heat.
So true.
Well, I'm glad you had some, good memories there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to scare you away from ever going back there again. I'm kind of hoping you have your own stories for yourself.
That is our job.
I will definitely try not to go back, and I'm waiting to see how much you scare me into that. I mean,
Well, let's see what we could do for you today. So the first place I actually want to talk to you about is Jerome, Arizona, specifically the Jerome Grand Hotel. So if you don't know anything about Jerome, Jerome is an old copper mining ghost town in Arizona. It is only got about a population about 400 now. It was compared to the 15,000 it used to have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very much deserted.
it was I actually spent, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I went out to Jerome. It's a very tiny town.
Oh, yeah?
Basically enthralled by antique stores at this point.
I imagine as much.
Reminds me a lot of Bisbee, Arizona. Yeah. But it was a cool town, regardless.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad we're talking about the place that you've actually been to.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Grand Hotel?
I haven't. I haven't
Okay.
been to the Grand Hotel.
Okay, well, that's a little unfortunate now, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
So I'm sure you know then, it's filled with a lot of collapsed buildings, a lot of condemned buildings, and the streets and sidewalks are kind of just broken and sunken. Is that about right?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
It's a little rough.
Yeah, a little worse for wear. So there's actually a legend there. You're really going to like this one, Kyle.
Oh, I'm waiting for it.
Okay. So there is a legend that there was, at one time, there was about 45,000 bodies, like just stacked up. Like they just had 40,000 bodies laying around.
A lot of accidents happen in copper mining.
That makes me
That's
feel
true.
great.
That's true. So it was because the crematorium could only handle like processing about 7 bodies a day. And like you said, it was an old mining town, so a lot of accidents happened. So as an alternative, what they did was the fine people who owned a smeltering business, they volunteered to help. And they also have a concrete plant, just so you know. So they took those bodies and let's just say the buildings and some of those sidewalks that you walk on and the stairs you go up and down there. So they're mostly made of concrete mixed with human body ash.
I am incredibly uncomfortable. And thank God I don't have those boots anymore.
Oh my gosh.
That's mortifying.
It's
yeah,
horrifying.
you literally don't know what you might have picked up with you.
No, I mean, I could have picked up like somebody's grandma or grandpa.
You
I
really
don't
could
know.
have. You could have had dead body people, like
Or
just
toes.
ash all over you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so terrible.
Oh, that's
just
horrifying.
Just dead bodies.
What was that? That reminds me of like the food is people.
The
Yes.
food is people.
Soylent Green. Soylent
Yeah.
Green.
Soylent
Yeah.
Green, yeah.
The sidewalks are people.
You know how it's like disrespectful to walk on someone's grave?
I know.
Could you imagine? And it's 42,000 bodies.
Mm.
So, I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of human ash in that concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an absurd amount of human ash.
Yes. So this leads us to the Jerome Grand Hotel. It is the most haunted place within the town. It is perched high above downtown. It sits on Cleopatra Hill. That is what it's called. So it sits on Cleopatra Hill, just kind of looking down. So it's, in my opinion, kind of ominous. Like just
I was
Yeah,
going to
very
say,
creepy.
Yeah,
it's
very,
looking
very
at us
ominous.
menacingly.
It's looking at us
Yeah,
menacingly. It's you know what it reminds me of is the Addams Family.
Right.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
So served as a hospital. It was considered one of the most modern and equipped hospitals for the time, but unfortunately it closed down in 1950. And it was abandoned for about 44 years, but it was still maintained until around 1971, just in case anything happened, there was any emergencies. So it wasn't fully abandoned. The building was left to rot after that until about 1994, when the Phelps Dodge Mining Company purchased it. And they were the ones that ended up restoring it to its full capacity. It opened as the Grand Hotel in 1996, and that is when the haunting sites started.
Yeah, living in a hospital of something as a former hospital certainly can't be a bad omen.
Yeah, well, on top of that, a former hospital of a literal town built on people's ashes.
And
it should be fine.
We're all right.
That's where you want to stay, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And you have to imagine how many human ashes are in the concrete that built it.
Yeah, I know. What have they... Yeah, it's common practice to take concrete from dilapidated buildings sometimes.
The buildings are made of people.
Exactly.
So, many suspect that it's spirits of the hospital patients and those who were housed in the asylum wards. That would not, that just screams every horror movie ever made about a hospital.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That just screams, I'm not checking in.
I don't care. If you, people go and do these, let me check out abandoned places things.
Right.
Everyone wants to go to these hospitals and they want to go in the asylum wards. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good on that one. I don't need to be bringing that home.
Thanks, bro.
No.
So shortly after the hospital opened, of course, both patients and staff began to tell their stories. And there was a lot of people phantom talking, coughing, moaning, and cries. And none of it sounded good. These were not happy tears. These were cries of distress.
It is a hospital.
There was not a lot of happiness in this place. And they'd all be in these empty rooms. Some believe that it might possibly be coming from the lingering spirits who have died from the deadly flu epidemic in 1917.
Oh, the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Though the hospital wasn't even built at that time, so I'm kind of not really sure about that one. Again, this hospital is also made of human ashes and concrete.
Exactly.
So.
That's probably where it might be coming from.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's more that, really.
Hospitals start from something, though. It could have just been a tent or tents on the property.
Right. And it's a hill. Maybe they decided, maybe they were burning bodies up there or something.
Yeah. Yeah. There's reasons things are put in certain places.
They do suspect, these people who believe this also suspect that maybe they just kind of found that area. And to be completely honest, we got to think about the energy that a haunted hospital built from concrete and human ashes has to project.
I hear you on that one.
How many Horcruxes does that place have?
I don't know. Go ask Voldemort. He keeps appearing after every book.
He really, he just never goes away. So one specific story is the story of a woman dressed in white. There's always a woman dressed in white.
Oh, yeah.
She was spotted. She's been spotted through the years on the balcony. Some suspect that perhaps it was a nurse, but we don't really know. A bearded miner has also been spotted for years. And specifically on the second and third floor, he's often seen gliding down the halls.
Gliding down. I wish you could have, the people on the internet, I wish you'd seen her movements for gliding down the hall.
As miners do.
That was a good glide. That was a good glide. That's how one glides. That's how I would glide if I was a ghost.
I'm sure.
Well, he glides down the halls and he turns on the lights in his path. Which in my opinion is very helpful if it's the right time, but also very annoying if it's not.
I'm still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if
I know, I get what you're saying, but I'm going the other way.
Yeah, I'm finding another hotel.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel better, when he's approached, he just kind of disappears. So he doesn't really do anything. He just
seems inconvenient.
Yeah,
so he's not necessarily a negative ghost, but
he does like to waste energy. Also, maybe that's your own fault for building a hotel in a haunted hospital made of human ash.
Look, it was state of the art at the time.
It was state of the art.
It was.
It used the best concrete ash mixing things at hand.
There's also reports of a small 6-year-old boy lurking around the corners. I mean,
Another
as 6-year-olds, yeah,
Another
it's very
classic, yeah.
classic. This seems like a very classic haunting of a hotel, and I live for it. I want to go there. There is the typical occurrences too of obviously footsteps and furniture being mysteriously moved, staff hearing their names being called out when they're alone. And funny enough, when you ask them to stop, usually comply for at least a day or two.
Oh, well, that's
All
very
right.
nice of them.
So there you go, guys. None of it's really malevolent or, evil. They're just chilling in the ghost
They
world.
just want to hang out.
They just
and,
want to
like,
hang
yeah.
out.
I don't know. Can you imagine just hearing one of those like aforementioned moans, like "oh," and you're just like, "Please stop," and they're like, "Oh, okay."
Okay. I just want some ghosts to I want to hear that aforementioned voice in the back of my head and be like, "Are you doing okay? Like,
Are
do
you
need
well?
help? Are you all right? Like, would you like to have I want a ghost therapist almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just be
Well, at
haunted
least
by
you know
one
his
of the
schedule is open.
Yeah.
He talks you through all your problems. I mean, that
Hey,
is
I think
Casper, the healthful ghost right there.
Yeah, for sure.
That is Casper, the therapeutic ghost.
He probably can't charge too much. What is he going to do with cash?
At least he's
I
not
mean-
Freud.
Exactly. Well, I have my own. This one is the Orpheum Theater in Flagstaff, Arizona. As Kyle talked to me before we recorded, beautiful place.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. One of my favorite places in Arizona.
And artists, not only apparently a hotspot for ghosts, but also artists, but same thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely an artist haven.
Mhm.
And well, let's be honest here. Ghosts aren't great.
Yeah, right.
And artists.
Ghosts aren't great for art.
I mean, they can inspire
Or-
you, I guess.
Yeah, I was
If
going
you
to say,
see
I
one-
feel like you can get some real inspiration from just a ghost just popping his face right in front of you.
I mean, when I see a ghost, the first thing I want to do is paint it.
I bet you did.
Can you imagine just sitting there doing your thing and all of a sudden you hear, paint me like one of your French girls?
I mean, I would comply so I'm not haunted, I guess. I'd be like, yes, orb.
Yes, Orb. I will paint you like a French girl.
Just bent over on like a fucking couch.
like I can't there's no
It's
There's
just
no-
like a giant light.
Just a
I have
giant
no
light.
details.
Like,
You're just a light.
you look great. You look great for your age. All right. Well, the Orpheum Theater was constructed in 1916 in Flagstaff, Arizona, after being it was a chicken coop.
It started out as a chicken.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
a
the
legitimate
original owner.
chicken coop.
Yeah, the original owner. It was a chicken coop. They actually had like 8-foot tall fences to keep people from stealing the chickens.
Oh, how far it has come.
Right. But Flagstaff clamored for a state-of-the-art theater because they thought it would be cool. The owners just like, yeah, that's actually sounds more profitable than a chicken coop. And so
Yeah, I'm sure.
that year, it turns out there was a lot of chicken dinners for sale.
Chicken dinners just went up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I bet they felt
Okay.
stupid about that one.
I mean, it's mysterious. I don't know how they got so many chickens. Over the years, it's had its fair share of hauntings, including the spirits who roam the balcony at night, the bad energy in the men's bathroom.
What
Fortunately
what-
for people like me and Kyle,
what was happening in the men's bathroom?
apparently a lot.
Okay, all right. I mean,
You know what? We have plenty of stories of girls' bathrooms or the women's bathrooms being haunted, so I think it's only fair.
I mean, it was a very rough time for the LGBT community at that time. So I'm sure that
Can they
Bad
just go
shit
into
happens.
someone else's bathroom, not the one I'd be using?
I mean, yeah, I get that.
He means the ghosts.
The ghost,
The
yeah,
ghost.
absolutely.
You all right there?
Yeah. There's also a prankster poltergeist who once caused a ruckus at the concession stand. Can you imagine just popcorn flying all over the place?
I would love
that-
that.
and
I
that-
would love. Can I hire
I'd be
him for my
laughing.
wedding?
Can I hire him for
Seriously.
Look, imagine being the minimum wage worker just sitting there and just sighing,
You
You've
would
just had
not
it.
get paid enough for that to deal with that.
Who is really? Well, oh God, it's terrible. That's terrible. Well, there's also other ghosts. We actually have one with a name. Her name is Maddie, and classically,
Maddie.
a little girl that has been known to tap people on the shoulder and shush people during shows and actually lives on the balcony itself. Can you imagine?
Just
He's talking like, oh, I saw that scene coming, and then all of a sudden, shh.
So she's basically a Karen.
It's sounding like it.
You know what? Is she really a Karen if she's making sure that everybody is quiet during a live show? Or is she making sure everyone's being considerate and she's shushing the Karens?
Fair enough. I understand where you're getting it, but that's a fine line to
Very
ride
fine line
right
to
there.
cross.
I mean, either way, so far it just sounds like these ghosts like to fuck around.
Well, I got more.
Huh?
Okay.
All right.
The second reported ghost is an older woman, actually. Most commonly seen dressed in white. Classic.
Of course.
Unlike the darker specter, she only appears standing by the railing briefly before she vanishes. So imagine, being in the theater, you're having a good time, there's drinks flowing because, people were drinking a lot back then. And
That's
you
what
just see
happens.
this lady just nicely along the railing. You're like, hey, baby. And then poof.
I think I would have been like, what was slipped into my beverage?
Yeah, it kind of depends on how many drinks I had.
Yeah, I
Consumed
mean,
at that
now if I was completely sober and saw that,
Yeah,
yeah,
we might have a problem. No,
yeah,
okay.
we might. We
I'm
really
good.
might.
Speaking of good, this is the men's bathroom. Many people have also sensed a strong presence in there. Even heard disembodied footsteps. That's really
Wow.
unfortunate. While others reported a sensation of mild electric shock as they moved throughout the room.
No, you're
Can you
just trying to use
imagine?
the bathroom.
Oh my god! Like it's one thing being at a urinal, but it's another to actually be like in the toilet, and then just no, I'm fine. No,
I mean, honestly, I don't think I'd want to be in a urinal and hear phantom footsteps just like walking my way and have a strong
Look,
sense of
it's
someone just
easier
like
to
looking.
escape at a urinal.
Yeah, but could you imagine just sitting at a urinal and all of a sudden you have the sensation of just someone watching you?
No,
Oh, that'd
please
be
no.
horrible.
That'd be terrible.
No, thank you.
That's terrible.
That's every time Jordan goes in the bathroom. I'm just in the stall, just in that little crease.
Okay, I
In
want
the
you to
door.
know when I was in Arizona, I was at a urinal and someone put their arm around me while they were next to me.
That is so wrong. There is a rule. There is a rule.
This is
That was
why
my
I'm,
horror story.
see, this is why I'm glad I just have my own private toilet whenever I go into a bathroom.
I just can't believe some people are serious.
I don't know how y'all do the urinal thing. I would just go into the toilet.
I can't. Well, anyway, one night after close, we're getting to the story. Past employees recount that the toilets began flushing on their own and the sinks started running on full blast in these men's bathrooms.
I wonder who hates men. Like, what ghostly figure is this? That's just like, nah, F you, man.
I mean, what year was the place built again?
This place was made in 1916.
So this was before women's suffrage.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of
There's some
reasons to hate
grievances.
men.
My
There's
God.
some grievances.
All right, I got to move on from this men's bathroom. I got to move
got-
on. As another story goes, one evening at a concession stand, while the last show was playing, a roll of paper towels on the walls began to unwind itself onto the floor. One of the workers tried to stop it, but the roll continued to spin the moment they lifted their hand away. Now that's, again, that poor minimum wage worker.
That's just wasteful.
It is, I guess a ghost doesn't really care, right?
You know,
That's
these
rude.
These are literally some of the most entertaining ghosts I've ever heard of in my life, though, honestly.
They do a little bit of trouble.
They're very active.
Yeah.
Very active. Near the projection room at the top on the balcony, there was a crawl space with a ladder leading into the marquee, It's here that it said a man once hung himself. Though there are really no new sources to verify it, it's chalk it up to a legend. But still, some insist that the suicidal man is among the spirits that haunt the Orpheum Theater to the day. And as many people know, suicide is one way to come back as a ghost.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's yeah.
I mean, you're in religious eyes in purgatory at that point. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, Kyle, I have told a story. Jordan has told a story. You've lived there. Do you have any places you would like to talk to?
I have lived there, and actually one of my favorite places that I went to, just in general, and I had I had a little bit of idea of this story beforehand, but not a whole lot. Was Yuma. Yuma is one of the coolest towns I've been to. They had the movie 310 to Yuma, et cetera, et cetera.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, my man. Very cowboy town,
Mm.
So Yuma constructed a prison in 1876.
Right.
And this prison held 3,069 people, including 29 women, which, I mean, I haven't done my research to know if that was really out of line at that time. I'm sure, many women.
I mean,
in
I
that
wouldn't want to
prison.
be a woman in that prison.
No.
No, the
God,
ratio is
no.
pretty bad.
Yeah. That's a sausage fest.
That's a sausage fest.
I'm sorry.
It is.
You can edit that out. So in the 33 years of operation of the prison, because they had a 33-year run. In that 33 years, there were 111 deaths on the site.
Oh, wow.
Of the prison itself. A lot of them were from tuberculosis because it was very rampant at that time. It was kind of ruining the entire United States, which, in turn, the largest hospital in our area, Century Page, was a TB sanitarium.
So we have that.
We have that, yeah. And like, there's more stories to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to do that one day. We'll have to talk about the history of that place.
You hear about TB all the time, or as it used to be known as, like, consumption.
Consumption, yeah. Exactly. Doc Holliday had it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, there's a cell for the ill-behaved patrons of this place,
right?
And it was called the Dark Cell.
Ominous.
And you're chained to a ring bolt.
No,
you're in severe isolation, so you're basically in the hole. Like, that's what they call our current prisons, and a very rough place psychologically for any person being in that prison at that point.
Of course, it's solitary confinement for you.
Horrible. And vast majority of the people that spent time in that dark cell were almost immediately transferred out of there, just because of sheer issues and screaming and whatnot. But I believe there's 2 of them were actually transferred out of there straight to the insane asylum.
I'm not surprised. A lot of prisons, like back then, even Alcatraz had something like that. They had like an underbelly that was completely dark, unlit, and it had a bunch of pillars. And they would just take the rough inmates and just chain them to the pillars.
Well,
and leave them there.
In current days, we still have problems with isolation in general. But so stupidly, a reporter decides, I got this. I'm going to spend time in the dark cell and for 48 hours.
No.
With a jug of water.
At least he thought of that.
No.
And chained and whatnot. After 37 hours, they called back, insisting to be released because she was not alone in the cell. So
it makes it even worse.
Oh my God, that's just terrible.
No,
Why would you volunteer for that?
Horrifying.
I would never. I don't know how anyone would ever. No.
There's also another inmate named John Ryan, who was in prison around 1900 for crimes against nature.
Oh, that's always a good start.
That is a very broad term right there. Like, but it's a terrifying term on top of that. So as thought to haunt the place, Ryan was not liked by other prisoners and reportedly committed suicide in cell 14. To this day, tour guides say that they can hear him. They get cold chills walking by his cell.
I guess he's balking at nature again.
He's doing, and like, this is a prison that it included murderers, thieves, polygamists.
Oh,
yeah, polygamy.
Polygamy, as bad as polygamy is, I feel like that's just
that's a little bit overstuffed.
The end of the bottom of the line right there. So naturally, like most things, and this actually reminds me quite a bit of Resurrection Mary. Was there's a legend that many years ago, a little girl in a red dress, trying to retrieve her doll from the Colorado River, drowned. She now haunts Yuma Territorial Historic Prison, and if she doesn't like a visitor, or if the person is wearing red, the little girl will pinch the visitor.
Oh.
So, like, that is...
It's like it's St. Patrick's Day.
I feel like that's like grandma getting behind you and being like, you're doing something wrong.
I just like, if I'm a little girl and I die from drowning in a river, yeah, the first place I'm going to go is a prison.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how close the Colorado River is to that point. I don't remember.
I know it flows through it.
It flows through it. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
well.
I feel like if you're a ghost, you would be petty enough to pinch people for something as minuscule as wearing red.
I get that.
I mean,
I think
you're bored.
What we really need to talk about is her parents at this point. Because how did her parents allow her to be that close to a prison? Therefore, she haunts it.
Kyle is passionate about this.
I am passionate. All right, I am. And obviously, like most haunting sites, you'll get, the voices and come out and whatnot to visitors that say, get out. And
Amityville callback.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like they share notes.
They shared notes. They did. I mean, either way, I did not make it to Yuma Prison, which I would love to check out. But Yuma itself is awesome town, but clearly terrifying.
I don't know. After that story, it sounds like a good thing you avoided it, but that's just me.
I don't know. I like a little bit of creepiness occasionally.
Oh my God.
Occasionally.
Unless it's in a men's bathroom.
I would go there just for the movie, 310, and be like, yeah, Yuma. And then you'd be like, oh, do you want to do a haunting ghost tour at the prison? No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Good.
Can I fake shoot somebody
Exactly.
in a duel?
Yeah, let's pretend it's Wild West over here.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle,
Hmm?
I do have one more place to tell you about.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is going to be, top of the top. This is what's going to permanently scare you away from Arizona. You will never want to go back. You were stuck in your hometown forever.
Here's hoping.
All right, I'm waiting. I'm taking off my hoodie and everything.
You take off your hoodie.
I am getting ready.
This is the story of the Hotel Monte Vista. So, down Route 66, there's a hotel that used to host these big celebrations, and now it hosts big haunts.
Bougie bastards.
So this was built during the demand for the first class accommodations in the 1920s. So the first class were like, okay, everywhere around here sucks. We need something better.
Dude, Flagstaff just keeps, having it going on.
I mean, they always have it going on. Seriously.
The best thing that I love about this is this hotel was actually built off the donations of the townspeople.
Aw.
So the townspeople just wanted to draw on the rich, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it was built, and it had 72 massive hotel rooms. So very, very fancy place. So it was on New Year's Day in 1927 that the hotel opened as the community hotel in honor of the townspeople. So they named it the community hotel at first.
Right.
And then they ended up actually having a contest, and a 12-year-old boy was the one who won. And that's how it got the name, the Monte Vista. And that means the mountain view.
The mountain view.
Yeah. That's
Monte Vista.
Monte Vista. And yeah, so that is exactly, it's just mountain view. So the Monte Vista continued to be one of the longest publicly held commercial properties in Arizona until it was sold to a private investor in the early 1960s. It continued to be one of the oldest hotels in Flagstaff, and it was even listed on the U.S. Registry for Historic Places. Famously, John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne
Not
Gacy.
that-
All right. Wow.
Not that guy.
Might be. John Wayne famously had an encounter there, actually. So he was staying in room 210, and John heard a knock on the door to the tune of room service. I love the fact that room service has a specific knock. It makes me feel so much better.
What kind of knock does room service do, though?
I could not tell you. I am not that old.
I don't know either. So he was staying in room 210, and John heard a knock at the door to the tune of room service. Again, I have no idea what tune they knock to, but I love the fact that they have a specific tune.
Is it, sir?
So,
Housekeeping.
housekeeping.
I really hope so. So,
I
of
really-
course, he goes up, he opens the door expecting room service. No one's there.
Nope.
No one's down the hall.
Checking out.
No one's on the other side. It's
Yeah,
just
that's it
empty.
for me.
Yep, checking out.
That's what would do with it
Yeah.
with you. That's how. Wow, whatever. Moving on. So that was not the only time. He also reported phantom bellboys roaming the hall.
Okay. What? Like, and I mean,
Did he tip them?
I'd be so mad if I tipped a ghost.
no, I
Here's
think
your
I think he
hundred,
just
sir.
got mad because they didn't recognize him.
Probably.
He was probably
Sounds
just like-
John
John
Wayne.
Wayne.
It was probably just like some bellboy is just walking down this hall and he's just like, "Sir, do you know who I am?" Vanishes.
He's looking like he needs a backhand.
Oh no. But there's more. So there is another one where there was an old lady. She stayed in the hotel for years. She checked in. She never checked out. She stayed into her ghostly years. This was where she lived. This is where she was going to die.
And-
So God help her.
Sounds like she succeeded.
It did. So what she did was she had this rocking chair on the balcony and she would just kind of rock in it, enjoy her elderly days. And
It's always
Just-
the rocking chair.
it's always, when you spend most of your life in a rocking chair looking out a window.
Look, we've been talking about a lot of classics.
I mean,
today.
we absolutely
We have some good classics in here. So, after she died, she never left. Like I said, she checked in but
Ooh.
never checked out.
And I bet the chair still rocks.
The chair to this day still rocks. And
Called
that's
it.
I mean that is actually it. So the woman's chair is said to have, as soon as she died, started moving, like it was rocking.
Nope.
I mean, she's hanging out. She doesn't
mean-
she's not trying to hurt anyone. She's just hanging out in her rocking chair.
Look, I just want a room to sleep.
I would
Okay.
I would like
Forget
to
that.
add that she also appeared to them rocking in the chair. So she just slowly appeared rocking in her chair. Staff saw it.
I
That's
hate it
according to
here.
staff. I want to stay there. Let's go.
Never.
Yeah, no, that ain't happening.
So one of my favorites, okay, these next couple, these are my favorites. I love these stories so much, and I hope, I put the energy out there that these are all real stories. I love them. There's a ghost of a bank robber who died in the lodge. I would like to know, what, the details behind that. I couldn't really find any. Just, did he, run in there and, get shot down by the police?
I mean, yeah, probably.
Either
He
way.
robbed a bank. Of course he got shot down by the police.
Either way, he is reported to greet the guest and the staff with a good morning.
I love this man. This man needs to be my best friend.
I know he's
pretty
a
chill
bank
for robbing
robber.
the bank, yeah.
Right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm
Pretty
like,
chill about
that's
it.
such a great
Yeah.
ghost. Could you imagine just every day coming in and just hearing, "Good morning," and it's a bank robber that's been shot? And yes.
You don't know what he was robbing the bank for. You don't know if the county was trying to take his farm. You don't know what was happening.
This man is an anti-hero, and we live for that.
Yeah.
An anti-hero is probably a good thing to call it.
So, room 306 specifically is said to be haunted by the spirits of prostitutes.
Oh, prostitute.
Prostitutes. I mean, it was really sad. They were murdered and tossed to the streets below, like they were just thrown out, which is extremely disrespectful.
No,
So I imagine they're not too happy with men.
No.
probably not.
So if you're a man, please do not rent or do not take room 306.
I probably won't
That's
take any
what
of these rooms.
that's what probably happened in the men's bathroom.
Ooh, yeah. Who knows? But one of my favorites, I live for this one. It's room 220. So it's roomed to be the afterlife of someone who was known as the Meat Man. The afterlife home of the Meat Man.
Man.
That's one thing I love about him. He's the Meat Man.
Big man.
Meat man.
He died in the room, and after someone had cleaned it, it was all clean, nice, beds made and everything, a staffer walked in to find that the sheets were scattered and the TV was on, and the TV still acts on its own accord. So the Meat Man's turning the TV on and tosses up your sheets. The Meat Man.
Maybe he's not tossing his sheets though. Maybe he's just sitting down, getting relaxed so he can watch TV.
I
know what?
need all of you to know something, though. The meat man was a boarder. So he was actually lived there in the 1980s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he's actually called the meat man is he would hang raw meat from his chandelier.
All right.
That's
All
why he's
right.
called the meat man. And now he has passed away, and he scatters your sheets, and he turns your TV on and off.
You don't know. They got that show on Netflix about like smoking meat and whatnot. Maybe he's finally realizing his potential.
You know what? Meat man, let's
Meat
not
man.
meet.
I
That
love
hurt
meat
me.
man.
I
just-
don't care for
Could
meat
you
man.
imagine though, like it's the 1980s, it's the 80s, and you're just hanging out with your meat hanging on your chandelier.
Was it in the 80s?
Wait, he did this in
Yes.
the 80s?
Yeah, he was a boarder from the 1980s.
What? I just can't
It was
imagine.
all raw meat too.
What?
My God, can you imagine just hanging your meat from the chandeliers?
Raw
It's like
meat.
Tears
Can-
for
can
Fears
you-
is playing on the radio.
Can you reword that, please?
Hanging your meat of the chandelier.
Kyle, that's exactly what he was doing. He was hanging
Look,
his
sir,
raw
get your mind
meat
out of the male's bathroom.
I hear the sinks running.
Let me just repeat this one more time. He would hang raw meat on his chandelier. I don't know why, but
I
this
feel like this would
man-
be okay if this was like, 100 years ago or something like that. But in the 80s,
It was the 1980s.
he's like hanging that as like that song, Buy Me an Angel.
As he's hanging
right
just
now."
raw meat. My thing is like a chandelier. You know that's a nice chandelier. And you gonna be hanging your raw meat from
He's
it,
probably
sir?
jamming to Little Red Corvette.
I don't know if that man was mentally well, but either way,
Sometimes you got to hang your meat from a chandelier.
yes.
Man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Either way, that is the story of the Monte Vista Hotel. It's great. So that's actually all for us tonight, folks. Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Jordan, I'll see you in another lifetime.
I'll see you in another lifetime.
And everybody else, have a spooky evening. Thanks for listening. This has been The Haunting Podcast. You can check out our website at thehauntingpodcast.com for show notes and other extras. Thank you for listening, and have a good night.